Any health-related information on the following show provides general information only. Content presented on any show by any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
In a world where Big Pharma writes the script, it's time to believe. Biohack. Become.
We're here to explore the truth about healing that exists outside the broken medical system, to give you the knowledge, the community, and the strategies you need to become the hero of your own health story.
Your guide is a biohacking entrepreneur, a near-death survivor, and a cancer warrior, navigating his own healing journey. Founder of Biohackingville, Exodus Strong, and QE Strong. Your host, Rob Renee. This is Biohackingville, where the medical system has failed us. One man is leading the rebellion to reclaim.
Hey, welcome to the Biohackingville podcast. I am excited for this show. It's going to be an interesting one. We're going to focus on a couple of topics that are near and dear to my heart. So we're going to talk a lot about red light therapy. And then we're also going to talk a lot about frequencies. And so those are two topics that there's a lot of confusion on, and a lot of people just don't understand those modalities very, very well. And so it's something I've been doing a ton of research on over the last few years. And so I'm excited to try to demystify it a little bit, to make both light therapy as well as frequency therapy something that you're not concerned about, nor do you think it's woo-woo or pseudoscience, because there's a ton of science behind both red light therapy as well as frequency therapy, and even frequency healing, as some people call it. So I'm super stoked about walking through this. I've been watching a lot of the commercials and a lot of advertisements for these different types of modalities. And it's really fun to go look and research this, because it's all over the board, right? You get these really inexpensive, cheesy solutions that don't work very well. And then you also, on the very other high end of it, you get these super expensive devices that cost, tens of thousands of dollars per device. So it's like, how do you, as a consumer, figure out what is going to help you potentially and or your loved ones? And then how do you navigate those discussions? And so I'm super excited about the things that my company is doing and what we're building to help people with that. But this isn't about that. This is just about, let's demystify what red light therapy is and what frequency therapy is, and let's dig in and discuss it a little bit. So I'm going to do that today. I've got a bunch of props. I've got some fun things I'm going to be showing you. So stick around, because we've got some really fun topics to walk through. You're going to see me working with a number of these devices and explain not only what they are and what some of the potential benefits are, but then really how it works underneath the covers. And I think that's going to be the fascinating part of it. So let's jump into a couple of slides that I wanted to show. So let me get to that point here, and we will talk through red light therapies, red light and frequencies demystified, as I call it, because a lot of people are working on both of these, like I mentioned, but they just don't understand them. But what I want you to do is understand that they aren't strange. They're not weird. And let's start off with red light, right? And light is really the spark of cellular life. So if you get this red light or blue light and or infrared light into the body, it does interesting things. It works even down to the mitochondrial layer, and we'll discuss that. What does that mean, right? And then what does that do to your body? We'll talk through those here in the next few minutes, because it's actually pretty exciting about what it is doing. But kind of beyond vision and warmth, these wavelengths of light trigger a fundamental biological process, right? Which is really, really cool. So when you start understanding how the body works and then how light can actually interact with it, then things start to make a little more sense. So the first thing, let's look at this really complicated, just view of your cells. And I don't want to get too worried about what's on the slide, but what this is really showing you is that when you get the inside of your cell, there's things that happen. And so the first step is kind of it's absorbing photons of these lights and red lights. And then it starts activating and doing things within your cell. And then the ATP, which is the mitochondrial process, the adenosine triphosphate, aka ATP, the synthesis starts giving you energy. And that's a lot of people talk about ATP. And so what red light therapy will do is it'll go into the cellular level and start activating processes within your cells. And then it'll start giving you energy, which is one of the things. So what does that mean and why? That's another fun conversation. This piece is really important too, because there's multiple frequencies, right, of light. And so you get all the way from blue light all the way to the left of this slide, and you go all the way to near infrared light on the other side. And this is really important because a lot of these devices that you're going to encounter, they may only have a certain particular wavelength and or frequency. And so that's really, really important because some frequencies are going to be just at the surface of your skin. But then like near infrared light, for example, actually penetrates deep within the skin and goes into your body deeper. And so then it can actually affect processes and or issues and or problems that are within the body. And that's actually where it becomes very, very important because some of these high-end devices, they're charging literally thousands of, tens of thousands of dollars to provide that deeper layer access. So it's important to understand those differentiators. But the fun thing is the actual benefits, right? It doesn't matter what you're doing from a red light therapy perspective, unless there's some reason to do it, right? But if you look at them, I put them into 6 categories because there's lots of them, but I tried to bundle it into these, right? Energy and fatigue, that's really one of the major areas that it does help with. So as it get that ATP layer starts working, your mitochondrial process works better. You start having more energy and the fatigue goes away, right? Which is really, really cool. And then as you'll see when I put on, that mask, right? A lot of women use it for skin and anti-aging because it really, I'll show you a picture here in a second that shows the wrinkles difference between a woman before and after using red light therapy. It's really, really striking of what it can do. Even helps with sleep and relaxation. So it helps your circadian rhythm and it helps you sleep better. And then pain and recovery. This is a big one. There's, when I was doing research on pain, where my podcast used to have a podcast called I Am Pain Free, and it was all about just pain relief. And I found that 50% of our seniors have some type of chronic pain. So that is a big problem in our society. And so just having red light therapy be able to help reduce pain and or recover quicker from your exercise, that's very important. This is where a lot of high-level athletes will use red light therapy to help them in their recovery process, because as you start understanding the human body and make it better, and when you're an elite athlete, right, you're tearing your body down as you're doing your exercise or as you're doing your activity. But then in order to do the activity again, you need to recover. So they'll use red light therapy as a way to not only reduce the pain and inflammation, but to just recover faster. So then when their body's recovered, they're able to do it again, right? And so that's how they can become faster and stronger and better at what they do. And then this fifth one is fun: brain and mood. It really does help with you literally within the brain. There's a lot of cognitive evidence of how red light therapy can help you with both mood and your brain. And then the sixth one is that really similar, related to the pain one and recovery earlier. It's inflammation and immunity, and that becomes really important in the respect that when I interview these holistic doctors, they all talk about gut health and how important your gut is to your health, and then they start talking about the source of disease, and the source of disease is, interestingly enough, from inflammation. So I'm going to take this off of the screen just so you can see me. So if Rebel, if you can put me back on the screen. So to talk through this, inflammation conversation is really an important one, because the source of all disease literally is the definition of the source is inflammation. So of all disease, not just one disease, but of all disease. So if we can reduce inflammation within the human body, then we're going to help the human body do what it does best. And that's some of the things that I'm so excited about, and why I love doing what I do. Is just the human body is incredible, right? God made this body so wonderful and so complex that it actually is built to heal itself. So what does that mean? How does it heal itself? Well, the crazy thing about it, you cut yourself, and guess what? Your body is going to start working on that, and it's going to start healing without you doing anything. Of course, there's things we can do, and that's why we biohack, right? We try to help our bodies be better. But geez, at the base level of what your body does, it's designed to heal itself. And so it works throughout the entire mechanism of our body. So if we can give our body the right nutrients and the right setup, then your organs start working the way that God designed them to work. And then guess what? Things like inflammation start being reduced. And that, again, then is going to stop the disease process, because all disease starts with inflammation. So that's really, really important. I wanted to talk through that, because the benefits of this red light therapy are important, because there's a lot of different things that it can do. But if you get down to it, one of the main components and one of the value adds is that inflammation response. So if we can get that inflammation response to subside, then guess what? We're going to be much healthier people. So I'm going to jump back into that presentation, because there's a couple other slides I wanted to review. So let me do this one. This is fun. So this just gives you a little better visual into it, like pain and arthritis, right? Your knee pain, for example, there's lots of proven applications for that. We talked about the brain and cognitive thing. Wound healing, like we talked about, you cutting yourself and then using it to heal. You can use these devices to help your body heal faster. And so, like I told you, the athletes use it because they want to recover quicker, but just wound healing is really, really important. So red light therapy is proven to heal things. In fact, I've seen some studies where they've actually covered the wound on, let's say it was a cut on a person's face, and they cover a portion of the wound, and then they do red light therapy on the other side of it, and then they compare it over a few day period, and it's dramatic how much faster the red light therapy has healed that particular process. So it just speeds up the healing process. And then body contouring, right? There are a lot of people that use it for helping, do weight loss and other things, and just changing of the body, and even oral and nasal health, which is pretty impressive. Here's the one that I think every single woman's going to want to see this slide, right? It's really, really cool. So this is a example of the before and after using 30 treatments of red light. So look at that one, the wrinkles of the first one. And this is, using ultrasound analysis, and it's showing the difference. And you look at the one on the right, it's before the collagen density, and then look at the after. So that's just showing you how red light therapy literally help the density of the collagen within this woman's body. So it's dramatic, as you can see. So that's why I'm going to take the presentation back off and go back to me real quick. That's why this thing is so important, right? Women love this thing because it's an actual red light therapy component. You wear it. And it has a little strap, and you put it around your face, and you do it for 15, 20 minutes at a time. And it really does help with, they even have some advanced features of this one. It actually covers your neck too, because a lot of women, and a lot of men too, get frustrated with their necks. And so these devices can really help through that, which I thought was really intriguing. And then here's another device that we use, is this red light therapy wand, is what this is called. So this one is neat because literally you can go to a specific spot. Let me go to, my elbow. Let's just say I had tennis elbow, for example, and I can put this right near the issue, and then this has both 660 and 880 wavelengths. And so that is important. I'll explain that here in a minute. So the reason why I talked a little bit about that earlier, the 660s, this is the surface. So if I had something on my skin, on the outer edges of my skin, it would help. But where if this was deep in my elbow, let's say halfway into my elbow, then the 660 is not going to help. But the 680, the one, it goes actually deep. The near infrared goes into the skin about an inch deep, and so that's super important because it can actually go underneath the skin and help the recovery process to do that. So I thought that was super fascinating, in the respect that you have to be really careful with these super inexpensive devices, because it may look great, right? You get it on Amazon and you think you're getting a great deal, but at the same point, it may not do what you really want it to do. So there are these different types of devices. I wanted to kind of walk through them and show them to you, because and kind of the advantages of them, right? This one is super awesome because it's mobile. It comes in this little pack, and you can stick it in your purse, for example, and you can take it with you. If you're a woman and you play tennis or whatever, you can go do it. If you have knee issues and problems, you could take this with you to work, right? And on your lunch break, you can do it for 5 minutes even. And 5 minutes is really going to help with the inflammation reduction of it. And women use this one while they're watching TV, right? Because I can see right through this. It looks funny, right, when I have it on my face, but guess what? It's doing a great job on your face. You can still read. You can read your Bible. You can do your study. Or you can watch, Netflix and chill. Hopefully you're not doing that, because we're trying to get productive members of our society here healthy so they can make a difference in the world. But so I really don't like the Netflix and chill. But the two other things I wanted to show you is this is a great belt. So you can put this around something, like if your back is hurting. We even use this on our dog. And so the cool thing about this one, you turn this thing on, and we got the red light therapy in here. And then that goes around, your back. You can do it on your shoulder. You can do it in a lot of different areas. And it's relatively mobile, right? You do need to have it plugged in to connect. and it can help you with a lot of things. But then you start getting into these more expensive devices. So you have a mat, and the mat you can lay down on the mat, or they even have blankets where it's on both sides. You lay into it's like a sleeping bag, and it's got the red light therapy on the top and red light therapy on the bottom, and then you can even to get these expensive. You can go to a lot of gyms have them, and wellness centers will have red light therapy beds, right? And obviously the bed does both sides, the top and the bottom, as well. And then there's kind of in between the bed and these mats. They're called panels, and these panels are solid panels, and they have lots of different lights on them. And then depending upon the design, you need to make sure that it has both infrared as well as near infrared lights. So you need to make sure that it has that penetrating light as well, because the interesting thing about it is your eyes can see the red light, but your eyes cannot see the near infrared light. And so you don't know if that light is actually working, unless you make sure that your design has that in it. So that's just an important factor, because when you're researching these products, you want to make sure that it's got both, because it's super important that you not only get the surface, but you want to get deep inside the tissue as well, because that's what's really going to help do the repair process as you're going through it. But the other really super cool one, there's two other things I wanted to talk about. In fact, this is a good time to show it right now. See how it is pulsing. This pulsing discussion is super important part of the conversation. So not only did I mention the infrared and near infrared, so it's the surface layer versus going deep. Another really important factor on these red light therapy devices is the pulsing capabilities. So we're going to get into pulsing. We're going to get into frequencies in a few minutes. But it is important. The pulsing is very important, because there's been studies that show if you put a constant light on your body will then eventually start adjusting to that light. And so the effectiveness of that red light will diminish over the time that you do it. Let's say when you first start, the first 5 minutes are going to be much more beneficial for your body than the last 5 minutes, for example. And so why that's important is this pulsing. So if you can pulse the light, then your body's getting the light, it's not getting the light. It's getting the light, not getting the light. Getting the light, not getting the light. And your body's not reacting to it as a continuous process. So the pulsing is actually very, very, very beneficial. So the pulsing can really make a difference. And then there's even research on different frequencies that you want to actually apply to the light, so to help with different issues. And so that's kind of an advanced topic that we can have as a further discussion. But I just wanted to make sure that you understood a couple of these key factors, because when you're evaluating red light therapy devices, one, you need to make sure it's got both, infrared as well as, the surface level red light. So you have both. And then pulsing is another very important feature. It needs to have a pulsing device. On these little wands, it's really easy, because you can turn it on and turn it off, right? Turn it on, turn it off. And this has just got a rechargeable battery in it. So the rechargeable battery works super well. Just you make sure it's just like you do with your cell phone, right? You just charge that bad boy up and get that. Then so now let's talk. We talked about the belt. The other one that I think is really impactful and really important is the mat. And so the mat is a bigger device, and it's literally something as big as, in fact, let me get this one here. I will show you this. And it's super, super big. But I'm going to show you this device is super powerful. So it's got like 1,200 lights on it, and it does also pulse. So it does the really important component that I told you about. And see, there's the pulsing light that you can see, and there's multiple of those, and as well as the intensity, right? So that frequency of the light, you can have it be at a level 1 all the way up to a level 5. And the beautiful thing about this is it's about 6 feet tall. So you can lay down on it, and your entire body is getting it. So all the way from the top of your head all the way to your feet. And it can help a lot. So people with neuropathy, for example, in their feet will love red light therapy. Red light therapy helps a lot, but it can also help with cognitive issues, like I mentioned as well. So why not, if you're going to do red light therapy, why not get the whole body, right, while you're doing it? So these mats are really cool because you can get them for much less expensive price than you can these expensive beds. So these beds can be in the $15,000 range, and you have to go to, typically, most people are not going to have $15,000 to spend on a bed, red light therapy bed they can put in their house. So you have to go to a gym or something to do it. And then it costs money each time you go, becomes cost prohibitive to do it. And then the middle layer between those big expensive red light therapy beds and these mats are these panels. And the panels are very robust metal panels that have lots of lights in them. And they also pulse, and they typically will have both the near infrared as well as the infrared and red lights. So it does both. So that's really good. But the problem is they're expensive. So I'm looking at a couple of these devices, and they're in the one device was $8,000. And I just saw a cool Black Friday sale that was happening, and the Black Friday sale was all the way down to $4,800. That's like, holy smokes. And that's just for the panel. And so it's not even 6 feet long, doesn't do the whole body. And it's a very, very nice device. So don't want to disparage anybody that sells those, because they are very nice devices. However, it's just very expensive. So I tend to go after and work with these mats, because the mat, you can lay it down, you get the whole body, you can flip over and do both sides. If you only have one mat, or you can do two mats, so you can do one on the top and one on the bottom. And it works super, super well. And the cost is about 1/10 of the cost of those panels. So I think that's really an important consideration as you're walking through which devices do you want, and or what one are you evaluating. And so let's back up. All right, a couple of very, very important things, right, are one, the number of lights that are actually going to be in it is important, right? You have, for example, the wand. This one only has, I believe, 3 or 4 actual lights in it. But then you get the mat, like I showed you, it's got 1,200 of them. So you start replicating that, and that's an important part of the conversation. However, you can't take that mat with you everywhere, right? So this mobile device is super powerful. It's relatively inexpensive, and you can get it, put it in your purse, right? And then you have the belt, right? The belt's not near as mobile as the wand, but a lot more mobile than the mat. So the number of lights is important. The actual frequency of the light is important, whether it's got the infrared and the red light. That's super important. Make sure it has the pulsing capability, because you want it to be able to pulse, because you want to keep the body guessing, and you want it to get the light, not get the light, get the light, not get the light. Over time, that's going to make the effectiveness of your treatment just be stronger over that period of time. So I think those are some really important factors as you're starting to figure out which device is right for you. And so we're going to actually add some interesting topics to this conversation with this next piece of the show. I wanted to talk to you about is frequencies. So we talked a little bit about frequencies from a perspective of light, right? But I wanted to talk to you about just frequencies in general, because when I was first introduced to frequencies, I thought it was crazy. I didn't understand what frequencies were. I didn't understand the term. I didn't understand how they worked. And I thought it was silly. So I'm going to go back to the presentation real quick and show you the, where did it go? Let's present this thing. All right. So there's the frequency of healing, where physics meets scripture. And the reason why I mentioned that is I'll show you how we're applying some of these frequency solutions in the future. I think is really important. But I'm sorry. I wanted to before I introduce the frequency discussion, those slides are out of order. There's one myth busting of red light therapy. A lot of people say, isn't that just woo-woo science, right? The red light therapy. It's absolutely not, right? There's literally thousands of studies been done on red light therapy, and it's used in professional clinics and used in hospitals all around the world. So it's absolutely incredibly well researched and documented of the effectiveness of it. And is it dangerous? No. And in fact, the only time that they do warnings with these red light therapies, if you are photosensitive, there are certain people that they are sensitive to the pulsing and or the actual lights, and they may have a reaction, but they're typically going to know that they have a reaction to that. And so that's just the only other warning. And a lot of these devices will come with the sunglasses too. And that's an interesting conversation in and of itself, is do you need to wear these sunglasses when you're using red light? When you start doing the research, you end up uncovering that the actual red light is actually very, very good for the cornea, right, for your eyes. And so, however, some people are very sensitive to the light, so it may bother certain people. So having the sunglasses, it may help you. And so what they typically will do is have you start doing these treatments, and then you start testing it and seeing if your eyes can accommodate the light and are okay with the light. And then you can start getting to the point where you not only don't have the glasses on, but you actually keep your eyes open, and you're actually getting that red light into your eyes. So I thought that was very, very enlightening as well. So it's not as dangerous as you would think it would be. So anyway, let's get back to the frequency discussion. So this is what I wanted, is the frequency of healing, right? This is where as physics meets scripture. It's literally not woo-woo. As I was doing this research, it was really fun. There's some amazing research done by a Stanford professor. He calls it intentions change matter, where literally intentions can physically change as a secondary thing. And then also IBM did some really cool research on crystals. But let's back up before we even discuss. I'm gonna stop the slides here real quick and get back to me. The important thing about this conversation are just what are frequencies, right? So frequencies are not strange. When I first was introduced to the term, I thought it was weird. I'm like, okay, I don't understand what frequencies are, but man, frequencies, as I did research on the human body, but then research on frequencies in general, they're not strange. They're everywhere, right? The cell phone you uses a frequency, right? In the olden days when I grew up, we had this thing called a radio you would use in the car, right? And you would tune the radio to a specific, a frequency. And then you could hear the different stations on that frequency. And you end up finding out that color and sound and vibrations, they're different frequencies. And so as you realize, okay, frequencies aren't weird. They're just all around us. But then you start doing research on the human body, and this is where it becomes fascinating. is a human body is made up of energy, and it's also lots of water, right, in the human body. And so as you start doing this research on frequencies, and you start understanding that even down to the cellular level of our body, our cells interact with each other via vibration, and those vibrations give off, guess what, a frequency. And so our bodies can interact both positively and negatively to frequencies. So then you're like, oh wow, okay, so our bodies, frequencies aren't weird, and our bodies are made up of energy, and they interact with frequencies, both good and bad. So then you start saying, okay, well then that's interesting. So let's start digging into what frequencies can potentially do. And that's where I just found this super fascinating. Right, I was doing research on Dr. Emoto and his experiments and what he's done with water and with rice. And if you haven't seen the Dr. Emoto's research, I'm looking for his book. I always have his book close to me because I love that book. But he's done these really awesome experiments with water, and he fast freezes water both before and after certain events. And so he can show how frequencies have an impact on water. And not only frequencies, but he also has proven and shown both intentions, how intentions can have an impact on the physical water, but then also even prayer. I thought that was fascinating. I'm a Christian, and I believe in prayer, and I thought it was really fascinating that you can pray over a bottle of water, and it literally makes a physical impact on the water crystals itself. That was just mind-blowing to me when I was researching that type of conversation. So anyway, then you start realizing, okay, so these frequencies aren't weird. Our bodies are made up of energy, and you can have a positive interaction with frequencies or not. Now you're like, okay, what does this have to do with red light? Well, it's actually really important, because if you think about the red light therapy and how it goes into the red light goes into the body and then starts interacting down to with your cells at the cellular level. What's interesting is you start understanding frequencies and how frequencies can act and interact with the body. What if you could combine the two? And that's what I'm so excited about with what we're doing as an organization. We're helping people with red light therapy, but we're also helping people with frequencies, and we're combining the two unlike any other company in the world. And so we believe the power of the combination is just is unbelievable. But before we get there, that's probably another podcast that we'll do related to the combination of the two. But let's just talk about frequencies more for a second. Let's go back to Dr. Emoto, because I love this experiment that he did on rice. If you haven't done any research on Dr. Emoto, so Monsieur Emoto, and he's since passed, but he has done, there's lots and lots of research related to what he did. He's wrote a number of books, but this rice experiment is super important. He did this study for 30 days. He had 3 different jars of rice. They all had the same amount of rice and same amount of water in a glass jar, and he had 3 of them. One of them he had, and he would swear at and get mad at and yell at and have bad intentions towards that particular jar. The middle jar he would say he loves, and he would take care of, and he would give it special care. And then the third one he would totally ignore. And he did this experiment for 30 days. And it's unbelievable at the end of the 30 days what you see, right? The one that he loves and cared for is still white. It's a little murky because it's been in the rice has been in water for 30 days. But if you look at the one that he swore at and had bad intentions towards, it's disgusting and moldy and gross. And then the one that he ignored is almost as bad as the one that he had bad intentions towards. And so you look at that and you're like, well, that's pretty eye-opening. But you're like, okay, is that true? But then the fun thing about it is the hundreds of people have replicated that experiment, and they've shown it for themselves of how it works. And then you start getting into people who do gardening and plant work and how they actually interact with the plants and talk to the plants and love the plants. And it's amazing to see the difference in how those plants do with the positive connection and positive emotion and positive frequency, positive energy that you're relaying to that physical object. So I thought that was really fascinating in my research with all of these this science and all these studies that are happening. Because one of the things that we ended up doing as an organization was taking these frequencies, and then when I introduced the frequency discussion, I mentioned two different scientists who were working. There's one from Stanford and one from IBM, and they're working on these different areas of research with frequencies. And one from IBM was really intriguing because what he had done research on was that these crystals can hold information similar to how your computer or let's just say your phone, everyone knows that they have a phone, right? And on that phone, it holds information in it, right? Underneath the covers or inside that phone, there's these little chips in there that hold information. And I equate these little crystals to kind of that chip. It's a little device. This one's called a crystal instead of a computer chip, and it holds information. And so if you can program that crystal with information and it can hold that information, guess what? Then it can start interacting and doing things. And that's what this researcher did, was you can program these crystals with information, with a frequency, with intentions, and even prayers. You can do this information on these crystals, and then you can utilize those. So that's where it becomes fascinating, is then you can start doing things like we have developed patches. You put these patches onto the human body, and those patches have a little microscopic crystalline structure on them that has a frequency on it. And it helps with certain health issues, or can, right? It can support the body's healthy functions. And so it's really fascinating to see how your body interacts with that frequency. We've done some tests with these EEG monitors. Those EEG monitors are things you put on your head, and it has all these wires coming out of it, and it's actually measuring your brain waves. And what's really fascinating about that is we did a research study with people that were in pain. And so they would come into the facility and their body is in pain, they're hurting, maybe it's their knee or something, and their body is in a strife. So when they put the EEG monitor on, their brain waves are going pretty dramatic up and down, and because their body's in pain, their body's interacting. And then they are introduced to a solution of ours that has a frequency on it that helps with that issue. And it's amazing. Within a few seconds, it started off, I think, in 5 to 10 seconds, it starts, the brain waves start interacting. And then it starts actually diminishing those brain waves. They start flattening out, because what's happening is the frequency is interrupting that signal from the person's pain to their brain, is what the research is showing. So I thought that is really fascinating, that you can have these frequencies interact with the human body in a really unique way. And so we're working on these solutions that are really fascinating. So it's a frequency solution that coincides with the power and benefit of red light. And so red light therapy is super well proven, right? It's not woo-woo whatsoever, and it's pretty cool. Yeah, that's a great question. Benny just asked a great question. What's the best portable EEG machine you to do? And there's the device that we use is what is that called? Dang it! It is. I think I have a device right here. If I recall. Yes, there it is. I'm glad you asked that question, Benny, because it's an important one. This Muse device. So this Muse device it's a couple $100, so it's not super cheap. But the neat thing about it is you don't have to go to a brain center and have this big expensive thing put on your head with all these wires connecting to it. This is a couple $100 device that you put on your forehead, and it measures those brain waves. And so it's really cool because you can have it connected to your cell phone, and you can see how your body reacts to different frequencies. And so it's super, super fascinating. So those are the types of things that we're experimenting with my organizations. And I'm just finding it really fascinating about what's happening with red light, because I think red light is awesome. I think it helps a lot of people with a lot of issues, and it's proven technology. It's like, but how do we get things affordable, right? So people, like, I can't spend $15,000 on a bed. I'd love to have a bed. I'd love to be in it for 30 minutes a day. But geez, I don't have, $15,000 to spend on a bed. So I've been working on these mats, because the mats are not near as expensive. I was looking at the literally a red light masterclass that one of the really popular the influencers is out there selling for Black Friday, and his device is it's $5,000, even like 40% off. So it's a $7,000 or $8,000 device, and it's only a panel, and it's not 6 feet long, and it only it does a lot of things. It has a lot of the pulsing and the other things that I mentioned, but it's still like, man, that's a lot of money. So we're working on these mats that are much less expensive. We're trying to get it down to, in the hundreds of dollar range, in the $600-$700 range, rather than $6,000-$7,000. So we're trying to reduce it by a big factor to get it to where people can actually utilize these things. But the most important thing too, we're trying to do is that we're combining the power of these frequencies and these frequency solutions in with the red light. So you're getting the advantages of both. You're not just getting a red light therapy solution. You're getting a frequency solution with a red light therapy solution. So, I'm not here to sell you on anything. I'm excited about the technology and how these things are really making an impact on people's lives. So let's see. Kelly asks another great question. Thoughts on sub-zero localized cryotherapy? That's a great question, Kelly. We'll have to do some research. I'll try to respond to you on that at a different time, because cryotherapy I think is very, very important. It has a lot of good applications, especially with even cancer, right? A lot of people are using that and using going overseas to get some cryotherapy done for specific things. So I think that's a great thing, a topic for another day. I appreciate the question. Anyway, I'm just, as you can tell, I'm super excited. We have a couple minutes left. So I just wanted to end this with one, red light therapy is super cool. There's lots of different devices you can use. Be careful and make sure it's got the infrared as well as the near infrared. So it's going deep inside. Make sure it pulses, because you want it to pulse. Super important for the pulsing capability. Make sure it has different levels too, so you can get stronger levels depending upon how deep you want things to go. And then start looking at some of these frequency devices and solutions, because frequencies, I think, is the future of medicine, right? You look at what Tesla said, and his quote was pretty powerful. It's like, if you want to understand the secrets of the universe, you have to look at frequencies and light, right? And it's like, wow, the guy was really brilliant. He was way before his time. But with that, I just wanted to, just thank you for watching the Biohackingville podcast. I'm super excited to get this rolling. We're early on in the infancy of this, and my Biohackingville community is going to be super exciting. Lots of things we're doing there. So look out for biohackingville.com. That community is going to be thriving. It's going to be amazing. We're going to have a lot of biohacking information in there. We're going to have a lot of integrative oncology information in there, and even a faith community if you're so inclined. But just thank you for joining. Just super excited about Biohackingville. It's want you to believe, biohack and become.
Remember, if you have air in your lungs today, God has a plan for your life. Believe, biohack, become.
Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Join the community and get the show notes at biohackingbill.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at Biohackingbill. Until next time, believe, biohack, become.